Let's begin, though, with NVIDIA sparking this global rally in stocks. The world's most valuable company posting a Q3 beat, raising revenue guidance for the current quarter to $65 billion, thanks to strong demand for its AI chips. Here's Jensen Huang talking about the future for AI on the call.
A new wave is rising. Agentic AI systems, capable of reasoning, planning, and using tools. There are three massive platform shifts. The transition to accelerated computing is foundational and necessary, essential in a post-Moore's Law era. The transition to generative AI is transformational and necessary, supercharging existing applications and business models. And the transition to agentic and physical AI will be revolutionary, giving rise to new applications, companies, products, and services.
Jim, we give companies a lot of grief for managing for the quarter. He's not talking about the quarter.
No, last night I went to dinner and came back. For a couple hours, I thought, what am I going to say today? Because it's such a different narrative from what we hear. And I think that what we heard last night was these companies aren't spending enough. Every time they spend, they make much more money. So they're trying to get as many chips as they can, which is the opposite of what we're hearing. The circular analysis, David, they're ready to sell anything they want to. They're up on almost everything. They're good investors. So the idea that there's this lazy Susan circular nature, I think, is defeated. And the notion of where we are in the world is far different from what people think. We're far further, and we're getting there. And you know, and the reason I start with this to you, David, is because he's saying, look, the world is going to change so radically in the next 3 years, and it's all going to be written, software written on NVIDIA. I found it to be, I'm not saying it's revolutionary, that's too strong, but the doubters really have a lot of thinking to do, including people who say bubble AI, who weren't, I think, on the call and didn't speak to Colette Kress after, and don't know about the revolution that's occurring.
Right.
Whether it be Anthropic, whether it be Palantir, whether it be trying to figure out who the big four really are. We don't even know. Is it Musk? Is it Oracle? How much is Microsoft spending? Meta, because every time they spend, their business goes up. So I think it's just a shocking change in narrative. Shocking.
And yet, I mean, coming into the quarter, it wasn't as though anyone was questioning the spending plans of the hyperscalers. We went through earnings season. All of them committed to numbers that were far above what they had been the year previous in terms of their CapEx. So there was no let up, and yet the market took it a bit differently over these last couple of weeks. And we had questions, and we'll still have questions about quality of underwriting at certain places in terms of the debt component of data center financings and capital structures and things like that, Jim. I'm not sure that's going to go away per se, although the end leaser of most of these data centers are the biggest companies in the world that still have enormous cash flows and reserves. I guess all I'm saying is the CapEx was only strong. So why should we have been so surprised?
Well, I think that we're surprised at the breadth of clients. The undercurrent here is that Anthropic is far more powerful and ahead than we thought.
Why do you say that? What's the example that
for the first time, Anthropic is adopting NVIDIA, and we're establishing a deep technology partnership to support Anthropic's fast growth. Anthropic is business to business. We can question how much of it is Amazon or not, but Anthropic to me is going to be maybe the leader after Google. And I come back from this call, Carl, and I just think that you've got to curry favor with them or you're not going to get any. And when you take their money, that's so that you steer software writers to NVIDIA, which means that there is some tension between OpenAI.
Oh, yeah. I think you mentioned the circular revenue debate. I mean, he did clarify there's no assurance. I mean, there's a difference between an announcement and a contract.
Well, I mean, that's to some degree is true, but it's also that they don't have enough power. But power isn't capable.
But to this point, and this is this is not central to the NVIDIA story today, but it's an interesting one in that, and Carl referenced it, Jim,
Absolutely.
and you're well aware.
Absolutely.
They entered into what they call a letter of intent with an opportunity to invest in OpenAI. That is the $100 billion that we discussed some time back. Whereas their agreement with Anthropic, they entered into an agreement to invest up to $10 billion in Anthropic. That's different.
That's a tea leaf thing.
LOI versus agreement are two different things.
Do you think that Sarah Fryer and Lisa Su made a mistake to do a deal right on top of Jensen coming on our network?
Maybe.
Yeah, I'll say,
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's a big mistake. I think Jensen is, in the end, a polite, good man who doesn't like to be, not double-crossed, but maybe showing up on this.
Well, you don't get to be where they are without playing hardball in some way, right?
Right, and I also think, by the way, if you're China, you're saying, are we going to be left behind if we don't let our software people write on NVIDIA? Because NVIDIA is going to have the world. I wonder also if this isn't a challenge to Ludwig, to Rubio, saying, listen, guys, you're off base here.
We asked yesterday. We asked Reitzes whether or not he thought Jensen had sort of given up trying to influence the China hawks. Doesn't sound like you think he is.
He's not giving up. I think that if anything, I know that obviously the president's very close to Jensen, but if anything, he bolstered the case. He basically said, without putting the words, because he knows better than that, is that we own the Chinese if we want to. Because every software writer around the world, including the Chinese, will be writing on ours. And if you're really worried about the Chinese using NVIDIA chips, you're out of your mind, because we can program them if they want to, so they know that. The PLA will not use NVIDIA chips to build aircraft carriers. I thought he made a strong case for China, but again, doesn't need China. Because, oh my God, they have customers. Now, I will say that as per CoreWeave here, the one thing that you don't want to do is have NVIDIA chips on the shelf because you're not ready. They're expensive, no return,
and it moves quickly. So
Yes.
every month that goes by is a month of depreciation that you didn't get to take advantage of the actual power of the chip.
True. Well, yes, that's. Although they do mention the software makes it so the previous iterations all work.
Can actually still have value, yes.
But let's just step back.
By the way, this is having an impact on the entire complex,
Absolutely.
as you'd imagine, and CoreWeave shares are going to be up sharply, it would appear, when we open a little over 20 minutes
Right,
from now.
because CoreWeave's okay. I mean, look, AMD's okay. There's such demand. AMD's okay. I mean, I wanted with Ben, with Righteous, I wanted to be able to say, listen, I don't want to own AMD for this. No, there's so much business. But this is my bigger piece, is that the people who are saying it's an AI bubble, they may not understand Jensen has a 20-year plan. And we're on year 3 of the 20-year plan. And I don't know what their plan is other than to not understand Jensen.